a beast stalker, giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, grom stalker, crypt stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner. I'm a pony, elite skill hunter. A death dealer, a life stealer. That's just the cost of being awesome sauce.
Welcome to episode 202 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I am Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Artemishowl from the Warcraft Hunters Union and Blood Legion.
Hey. I am Solarflair from the Warcraft Hunters Union, Cloak and Quiver, and Convert to Raid.
And I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com, WoW Insider, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
All right. Well, today is Sunday, October the 12th, 2014, and we are broadcasting live over on twitch.tv. You can participate in our live chat room where our lovely moderator, Ali Sonder, is there to take your questions, and which we will attempt to answer those later in the show. And now, what do we have? We have some announcements this week, actually. One of the things I want to talk about, obviously, the Hunting Party Podcast is back, and just say thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Just so you know, I think, and this isn't very scientific, these numbers, but about 1,400 listeners so far in over 10 countries, which is very cool. And I think we're only going to grow from there, given that this is our second
deal.
episode.
Wow. Since the rebirth, we've hit 1,400 people in 10 different countries.
Yes. Yeah,
Dang.
So that's pretty much episode 201, and then a few, some of that's that little teaser we
that's a
put up there.
celebratory number. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I was happy to hear that. I was very excited. So so we are off to a great start for sure. And speaking of, since we're doing this every other week, next episode 1026, and I think Artemis, are we getting a guest for next week?
Indeed we are. If anybody was catching any of the Warcraft Road to BlizzCon action over the last couple weeks, you'll know that we have seen one hunter being stucking out in a Thug Cleave combo. Unfortunately, they didn't go through, but Dilly Poo will be on the show to talk about all things PvP and Warlords of Draenor and what you can expect to happen in WoD with hunters.
Very cool.
He didn't make it through because it wasn't 3 hunters, right? He was playing with a Ret Paladin and what was it? Druid? Shaman?
I think
should have just ran triple DPS with 3 hunters, might have won.
Maybe. I agree with that, but we're not.
But he'll tell us why.
Exactly.
He'll tell us why we shouldn't have done that. So Dilly Poo on next episode.
Yeah, that's very excited. So that might be our one and only PvP episode of the year. But who knows? If this guy's good and continues to play, we may bring him back more as the Warlords of Draenor expansion goes on. But that's great to get some PvP because we were definitely lacking on that last time around for sure. All right, and you guys were busy last night. Team Hunter, what did you guys get done? I know that you guys were on your Horde tunes and just blowing things up. So how did that go last night, and what did you do?
We slaughtered tier 14, and I mean slaughter. We cleared it in less than an hour. So tier 14 fun run. Anytime somebody died, people were drinking, especially myself. I was not really remembering much at the end of the night. After we did tier 14, we did a world boss tour out of willy-nilly. It took 5 minutes to kill Ordos as everybody was chain running back and doing whatever we can to live. Then we went to go raid a couple Alliance cities, and no offense to dwarves, but Ironforge became our Iron Boot. So, yay, Team Hunter. That was our last all-hunter raid for MOP, and it's a little bittersweet, so...
And when you say tier 14, are you talking normal or heroic, or what version of the raids were you doing?
We did normal mode, because I wasn't expecting, not too many well-geared players to show up, but, a lot of well-geared players showed up, so...
Cool. And then
What
finally, of
happened
course...
sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
was curious. What happened on Ordos? I wasn't able to make it. I had some prior commitments for my swim team, but what was the deal with Ordos? Did you guys have a pet tank?
I pre-polled 2 minutes before Lust was up, and people were just like, what the heck did you do? And nobody was kind of ready, so it was a miracle kill.
It was that maple bacon vodka speaking, right?
Actually, it's blueberry pancake vodka.
Oh my gosh, that's gross.
What? I took 12 shots of that last night.
Mm-mm.
I have more hair on my chest than you do.
Probably after that, but that's not anything I'm going to dabble with. So, right on.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like it was a fun event, and hopefully we can do more of those in Warlords and try and tackle some of that content later on once we get rolling. But we've got BlizzCon coming up soon now. I think it's less than a month away, and I know you talked about doing the All Hunter meetup. What are the details on that for people that are attending?
Saturday night after the convention's all wrapped up, it'll either be 6:30 if the concert's like horrible, or 9 p.m. if the concert is good for some reason. We'll be meeting up at the Hilton. We can't get like a restaurant or a room because they didn't like the idea of us having lanyards to give away for some reason, and they like cost a lot of money. So we're gonna just gather in a public area. We'll have picture images to help you guys out come closer to the date. So don't fret. We'll show you where to go. I promise. I'm gonna like spam it on every Facebook group I posted you guys in, and WHU for sure. So free lanyard to hand out, free hunter swag. Come hang out with us. There's 80 plus people coming. I got to contact Michelle Morrow, and she will actually be there.
What?
Yep.
Dang, that is cool. I didn't even hear about that.
I just got the details wrapped in.
Sweet.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, she's just been a great supporter of this show and the Hunter community. And if correct me if I'm wrong, but she's actually like the host of BlizzCon this year, right? So she's actually got a pretty big part in the whole thing.
Yep, she'll be co-hosting the DirecTV stuff, I'm assuming, and she'll be doing that with Chris Hardwick.
Very, very cool. Now, what was the issue with the lanyards? I didn't quite follow that. That seemed weird to me.
We couldn't get like the restaurant. They wanted to charge like $500 just because we were handing out like a couple lanyards for free. They were listing it under a giveaway.
That's ridiculous.
So, I agree.
I mean,
year,
we're just talking about something you just hang around your neck. I mean, it's like, I don't know.
It's not a big deal. Like next year, we'll obviously be a little bit more well prepared. We can fundraise early and get an actual room next year. I didn't expect a big turnout, so that's my bad for not planning ahead. So, well, we'll still have fun regardless.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no way that this won't be a great time. So if you are at BlizzCon, please plan to get together with the whole Hunter gang, with Team Hunter out there. That should be fun.
And then you should, as kind of the last thing, you should be able to catch a lot of us just floating around during the con too. Like I know myself and almost everybody else in the Warcraft Hunters Union and Team Hunter are going to be wearing their shirts for the days. I have both of my shirts in. I think Artemis. What?
Did you guys want to like have a place to meet up maybe for an hour during the convention for people to like say hi?
Oh yeah, we can do that closer to the meeting stone. That there's like a big summoning stone like you would see outside of a dungeon. They have that in the con, if those of you that are going for the first time. And it's a really cool place just to be like, meet at the giant summoning stone. And it's like super easy to not miss, and it works out really well. Mm-hmm.
Now, how many of us are going to be there? Like, I won't be there, but it sounds like you're going to be there, Solar. Obviously, you will be. Yep. Artemis. Anyone else? Any of you? The rest of you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there Thursday through Saturday.
Cool.
I won't be there. I'll be watching it.
Yeah, I'll be right there with you, watching it on the live stream for sure. So I believe that is a normal, that would be a podcast weekend for us. So we'll have to figure out, we can do something while you guys are out there or with you, or so we'll figure that out. We can
have the show at the party.
I'm pretty sure the live stream, for those of you watching at home, will probably spend most of their time just following around us hunters and seeing what we're doing, as that's the most important part of the con.
If we can figure out a way, we will live stream the shenanigans.
Cool. All right. Well, we've got a lot of news and stuff to go over. Why don't we do this? There's one bit of news. It's not really a big secret, but patch 6.0 is going to be released finally on Tuesday, October the 14th. So it's just a couple days from now. So I thought it'd be good maybe to go around and just talk briefly about what we've been doing in game lately, either to prepare or what we might plan to do on Tuesday when that patch drops. And Solar, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I haven't really been doing a whole lot in game right now. I can't say I'm too heavily invested in just like past 1 year in Siege. We've still been doing our bi-monthly raids. We raid every 2 weeks so we don't burn out, but we still play together. So we cleared this week in about 3.5 hours to go 14 out of 14 heroic, and I think something happened that was minorly substantial in the raid, but I totally forget what it was, and I don't remember. And I'm kind of bummed out. But yeah, it was a normal siege clear. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I thought you, cause I think I was online at one point, and you tweeted something about one of your warriors or something. Did he get a drop? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh my gosh, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so our warrior tank, Lind, he's this really cool dude. He's a super good tank. He got the Tusks of Manaroth to drop, and everyone was very excited for him because there's no better deserving player to get that because this guy's like a baller. So I was really glad that he got that. They're like super rare drop chance, like super, super rare.
Very cool. Very cool. Yep. How about you, Bendak? What have you been doing?
I just been doing some last minute stuff. I dropped jewel crafting and converted to leatherworking. I just did that all in one sitting. Took a couple hours. I finished the Brawlers Guild, did some achievements. The last thing I did was, since there's a bunch of pets I want to tame in Warlords, I had to go through my stable since it was full. And I deleted 20 of them and to make room. No. I know. I don't know. Some of them are tough decisions, but and then I did a post on my site like showing the 20 pets I plan on taming, so might give people some ideas of what they can go after.
Very cool, very cool. And congratulations, by the way, for going back to WoW Insider. Now, my understanding is not scattered shots, but just general articles that whatever they give you to write, you'll be writing over there now.
Oh yeah, it's not scattered shots. They just needed another writer, I guess, with Warlords coming up and everything. So it'll just be general stuff. But I did sneak in a Hunter post yesterday or the day before.
Saw that.
Nice.
I saw that.
Awesome.
Cool. And how about you, Delirium? What have you been doing?
Yeah, so I've been trying as hard as I can to not play, expecting that we'll be putting in quite a few hours once WoD comes out. But then I got caught up in grinding some Bloodsail rep. I wanted to get up to Exalted with them. And so I spent, I don't know, half the day yesterday just killing goblins down in Booty Bay. And that's been pretty much my whole life in WoW recently, is just killing goblins.
I saw you were looking for more for that, and I don't have it, and it's always something that I've wanted to do, but then every time I look at it and then realize like all the goblin cities are going to hate me, I go, totally not even worth it. So
Same.
props to you, because I'm just like, I really want that, but I know I don't.
Yeah, I started actually at the end of Cataclysm. I just joined a group for fun when somebody was spamming asking for it, and I never actually finished, but I did get to hate it with all the goblin factions. So I've been hated all of MOP, and what was it, 5.3 when we got ported to Goblin City for I don't know what we were doing down in south of Orgrimmar. It didn't go well for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, all the guards in Ratchet were just like,
You could say they were pretty ratchet.
Wah wah.
And how about you, Artemis? So what have you been doing? Have you been playing much in game? Obviously, you did the Team Hunter event, which is cool, but anything else for preparing for Warlords?
No, I've just been getting alts ready for split runs. So that's basically it. And I'm really bored.
Yeah, well, you and everybody else. I mean, this is what the longest running patch I think that the game has ever seen. Yeah, for me, like just like you, Bendak, I dropped jewel crafting on Dark and sort of power leveled up leatherworking. Finally got it to 600. Didn't do it all in one sitting. I had to go farm some mats, buy some mats. Anyway, it took me probably a good couple of days to get there, but I'm there and I feel good about it, so I'm happy with that. And then I've also just been playing around, leveling another hunter for grins. But other than that, just waiting for this patch to drop and looking forward to cleaning up my bags on Tuesday and doing all those things of that nature. So very cool. So with patch, go ahead.
Are most people switching to? I get you guys have talked about leatherworking just because jewel crafting doesn't have much going on. I'm curious if people are switching out of the crafting professions and going to more gatherings on their main. I know I put Skinner back months ago. I switched back to skinning on my main just because it's so much more fun to go out with my way over geared character than anything else, or people getting excited about not having to have 2 crafting professions?
I have 2 crafting professions right now, engineering and blacksmithing, but I'm probably going to change to engineering and alchemy. Just because you can make a trinket, and that's always a big deal at the start of an expansion. And I like to craft my own potions and flasks, so I think this is going to work out better for me. And it seems like it works well to have engineering and alchemy for your garrison. So I've been trying to plan it out somewhat well. I know leatherworking sounds pretty good too, but I like this trinket off the bat. It really works well with engineering, I think, for just getting like startup gear. So I'm gonna try it. We'll see what happens.
You should really consider leatherworking.
I know.
Especially in your case, you don't want to be that guy who isn't taking every advantage he can to get like the 3 pieces of crafted gear and your weapon the first week. So you're gonna want to have basically 2 other alts with leatherworking, so you guys can have like your workshops in the garrison making that gear ASAP with the work order. So, and then you can have alchemy on the side. Like you can have 3 profession workshops. Remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
All I'm gonna say, join the guild as a Tauren miner. Still top meters. Still top.
So there you go. But just
blood elf.
To clarify for everyone, what since we've all switched to leatherworking, what's special about leatherworking? I'm sure people, I don't know that we fully explain what the advantage to having leatherworking, and what's the gear that we're talking about? How many pieces are we be able to get from leatherworking?
You mean other than the sheer awesomeness of it?
No, like you can only have 3 pieces of crafted like profession gear on, minus weapon and apparently cloak, because I don't know. So that means you can pick like helm, chest, something else, and that's your 3. So you could be any combination of 3 pieces you want, and that's it. But you can only make like, I believe, 1 epic per week per work order, so that's why you want to have 3 leather workers off the get-go. You have 3 work orders going for that 3 pieces of gear, and you're set.
Cool. And is there, I mean, obviously garrisons aren't coming until Warlord, so this isn't 6.0, which is fine, because we covered a ton of it, but is there anything we would want to do special in the garrisons? Like Bendak, is there any kind of buildings we'd want to look at to support that endeavor and getting that crafted gear and doing anything to get it faster?
I think it's a good idea to have a barn, because that's the only way you can get, I think it's called Savage Blood, and you need that stuff to craft the items that upgrade your leatherworking armor to higher item levels.
And that comes from the stables, does it not?
No, it's from the barn. The stables
barn.
doesn't give you anything. It's
The
just
barn
like
stables,
perks. And you can buy the Savage Blood on the auction house, but I imagine it's going to be super expensive.
Oh, I would think so, especially early on in the beginning of the expansion. It'll be expensive. And of course, really, unless they change something, it's normally just this first tier where all that crafted gear from the professions is actually relevant in what we care about. After that, you're pretty much just getting everything out of the raids moving forward.
I kind of hope they change that, because, I don't know, the way they got the garrison set up with crafting is actually kind of fun. You can pretty much support yourself, if you get a couple garrisons going.
Yeah, the changes to the professions we say that there aren't any DPS boosts, although we're looking to get some of the gear from that. But you wonder what the economy is going to be like, especially now, because one thing in 6.0 is the auction houses are all getting merged. So Horde and Alliance will just be sharing the same AH. So if you're into making gold, which I'm not great at, that's something to pay attention to. But that's basically it with leatherworking. It's so you can kind of maximize the gear you get to start off, which I'm a big fan of. So I'm looking forward to that. So what else do we want to cover? They've been pushing out beta and PTR updates like left and right. I think there was a stretch there. They probably might have done like 4 or 5 in a row, I'll say 4 or 5 days, but you could probably have measured the releases in hours, which I don't know how they expected anybody to test anything, since it was probably down more than it was up. But
yeah, the build push this last week or 2 was crazy. They probably knocked out like 20, 30 like live builds where they had to reset everything. It's like, ugh. Well, not reset, but halt any testing on the beta and deploy the build. It was crazy.
Yeah, because it takes some hours to do that. Now, there really haven't been much in the way of hunter changes, by the way. So if you're expecting us to come out so I'll just give you the bad news now that they haven't really touched hunters at all. Although I believe there was one of those builds where, as you described it, Bendak, they kind of unnerfed survival, and I wouldn't say that they buffed it per se. Was that was your impression?
Yeah, they did some nerfs a few builds earlier, and they kind of just undid them. To explosive shot, black arrow, serpent sting. They buffed arcane shot a little bit, which helps BM2 and multi shot, but it's nothing significant.
A kill shot too. Kill shot's a big deal for the two specs that have it now. It's like a heavy hitter.
That got buffed quite a bit, yeah.
It takes priority by far in your rotation. Plus with the reset going really quick, like it's really nice.
Yeah. That's an awesome fix, by the way. You guys know for like a Mercius, when you kill shot and it takes like an hour and a half to get to him, and that's fixed.
Yes.
So, totally awesome.
Yeah, that is nice. And that's good. And that's the way kill shot should be. I mean, something that's only available for a certain amount of time or a certain point in your rotation. At the end, we're talking about it. It should be I like having it the priority and having it actually feel like a kill shot, like a big shot. There was, I don't know if it was Miss, but I think maybe in Cataclysm at some point in one of these expansions, it just kind of, you felt like it didn't do much more than a arcane shot. It felt more like a free arcane shot, and that wasn't very exciting. So it's good to see it get some of the respect that it deserves there. And I think they made a change to exotic munitions as well. I know we were having some discussions about that offline. What's happening with that? That's a level 100 talent.
Yeah, for exotic munitions, they nerfed the poison ammo, which is supposed to be the single target ammo. But the problem is, or I think anyway, they nerfed it too much, because in a single target fight, you can use incendiary ammo, which is supposed to be the AoE ammo, and there's really not much damage difference. We're talking like 1%. So I don't know why they would do that. Like, you might as well just, unless it's pure single target, you might as well just keep incendiary ammo on.
Does everyone else seem to feel that way too? Is that kind of what they've done with this talent now?
Yeah,
I mean, I can't see any reason to ever use munitions. Maybe if you're moving a lot and can't use the other talents, like they just don't work at all, and you need a passive, but it's pretty lackluster as is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the scaling's a lot of whack, and I don't know how often they're testing their numbers. Hang on, my dog's going crazy, but I don't know if you guys can hear that, but she's saying hello. But yeah, I think this exotic ammunitions is pretty just kind of suck in total. Just the frozen ammunition is going to be really cool for PvP, just because getting those slows out is going to be totally awesome. However, sorry, I had to tell her to stop talking. It's the only thing that I think is going to ever happen to this, unless they buff it again, is that it's just going to be way better at an N tier for survival, because the mastery is going to scale with it. I said that last week too, but like that's like the only perk to these talent trees right now. Like, the numbers that they're giving us for coefficients and attack power scaling is just totally, totally low, and it makes no difference. Like they said, they might as well just run incendiary if you're not, do 100% pure single target. So
yeah,
kind of bummer town.
Deviriat from, I don't know if I'm saying that right, from Artemis's guild, and I were testing MM AoE yesterday on the beta, and incendiary ammo was doing significantly less DPS than, even if you're using multi-shot, it's doing less DPS than just taking Lone Wolf and the buff it gives to Chimera Shot. So just that one buff to Chimera Shot is enough to out DPS incendiary, which is, I don't know, kind of embarrassing for exotic munitions, I would think.
I think overall for a talent system, it's embarrassing. There's no choice on our level 100 talents, and that should be a problem. But again, I feel we're very much ignored. Like, focusing shot is completely useless. I will never see a situation where that'll be any value to a raid or even PvP. Like, and then they have to kill ammo, which was pretty much a cool concept. That just got ruined. So, thanks, Obama.
So basically, Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I think with Toth though, like in conjunction with Thrill of the Hunt and using Focusing Shot, I think that's a pretty strong AoE option now. Like if you can generate 60 focus back from the Focusing Shot and then be able to get those reduced cost multi-shots from Thrill, you might be able to ride that focus out for some time. I don't know how often we've looked at that simming, however, like in an AoE encounter, but that I think might be a strong contender.
Has that been tested? That's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I'm not sure if we've actually ran that. Azor, come back.
Azor!
We need our numbers. Our cute little 17-year-old numbers, man.
Silly Euros.
But yeah, that's what I was just saying. That's a potential option for Focusing Shot. That's the only way I could see that ever being useful, was just to build up a large amount of focus and then slowly ride that down with Thrill.
The issue with that is still the fact that it's a completely immobile talent choice, and it's a really long windup. Imagine fights with ads. You're sitting there trying to cast up your focus back, and they're already dead because everything else like an instant AoE are, well, you just got gimped, bro.
Well, we knew that a while ago. That's not news.
I'm just reminding you.
Mm-hmm.
I think exotic munitions, it's still, might not be the ideal choice, but it's still decent for survival, I think.
It might be decent for AoE as well. Like, I don't know. Did anyone test a cleave on incendiary ammo?
Yeah, I think we did. It just wasn't that good.
We did test some things out with explosive trap, though, right, Delirium?
Yeah, looked at explosive trap. I'm not sure what you're fishing for here. It's usable now. If you have ads that'll be alive for 20 seconds, it's I think it's doing, as at least as MM. I didn't test it as SV yet, but it looks like it's doing about 10k damage total per target. So once you get up to 5 targets, if they can all be, hit at the same time and stay alive for 20 seconds, it's a small DPS boost, but worth using, which is kind of exciting because there hasn't been a trap worth using for a long time.
Very long time. Yeah, obviously for survival, it's gonna do a little bit more damage. But in any spec, if you drop explosive trap, even on 2 targets, it's a DPS gain to do so. Obviously, much more minimal in 2 to 4 target situations. But yeah, like originally when you dropped explosive trap, it would do like 1% additional damage of your overall damage as AoE, which is like totally like why even bother? Although I mean, I guess if you're gonna use the global for 1%, you might as well if you're gonna go for that damage. So, but now it's gonna do like what 2-3% now. I think it got an almost doubled buff. Was it 4.3 to 8.6% of your attack power scaled? Either way, it's gonna do more damage. It's still worth using if you want to get down to the nitty gritty. So rebind that explosive trap.
Speaking of traps, what's with the travel time now?
I haven't noticed anything. What is it?
It's like extremely slow. Like to a full 40 yards, it's about 2 seconds travel time now.
Huh. 2
Probably
seconds
for
travel
PvP,
time?
Not to sound like that guy, but
No way. They can't do that to us though. I know enough about PvP to know that removing scatter shot out of our toolkit made it almost impossible for a hunter to line up his trap outside of like another class's CC. So for example, like the warrior would like storm bolt, and then you'd have to trap off of that, which makes it even more frustrating. But if there's a travel time with the trap too, that's just ridiculous because that just totally gimps our CC now, like 100%. The only thing we have out of that is Wyvern Sting.
Yeah, I think what it does is make us a little bit worse at support CC, but it kind of encourages you to use like kind of a kiting CC instead. I mean, you don't have to use Trap Launcher. And so it still works pretty well, especially with the instant arming to be trapping as you kite, when that warrior's right up on you. But yeah, it really if you're trying to peel someone off your healer, it's real tough now.
Yeah, that's bananas, man. EANANS.
Well, of course we'll have the PvP episode next time, so those will be good questions and things to find out and get his perspective on that to see just are we going to be good in PvP now or what's the downside here?
Dilly
But
Poo
looking-
will tell us.
Yes, he'll have all the answers. But yeah, we've seen a lot of numbers and different things coming out of Sims, and of course, I've seen stuff coming for level 90 versus level 100, and we know that the changes that we're seeing in 6.0, they tend to tune everything around level 100. So I don't know if we should get too alarmed over the level 90 numbers, but none of them are good right now. I mean, correct? I mean, it's just bad. It's really bad at 90. I mean, I think we're really towards the bottom, and then we're very mediocre at 100. And it doesn't look like it's going to get better. I mean, I noticed someone here if you guys saw the quote from Celestalon, and people were saying, hey, what's going on, basically. And, he's asking what kind of, people were pointing out the Sims, and he was asking, well, what kind of fight? And I don't know who it was. Maybe it was one of us. I didn't see who it was, but
I think it was
mentioned that
Artemis.
it was like a patchwork style fight, in which immediately they hear that and they're like, oh, well, none of our fights are like that anymore. And I mean, is that a valid argument? I don't think so. But what do you guys think?
It's not a valid argument because at the end of the day, like, boss damage does have a very high value. Like,
Significant.
you're gonna succeed on a fight quicker if you can kill that boss faster. Like, adds, killing, cleaving, all that matters too. But at the end of the day, the real fight is making sure that guy is dead.
Right.
Yeah,
and I mean, you guys have seen some of these fights too. I mean, what are they? I mean, you don't have to go into a lot of detail, but what's sort of the style in terms of the mechanics and things, and in terms of the amount of movement that you've seen? I mean, what have you seen with the fights that you've done so far for Warlords of Draenor?
It's a really good mix of fights that favor melee and fights that favor range. Like Hans and Franz is a definitely melee favored fight where range don't really get a whole lot of breathing room. But fights like, I don't know, let's see, like Kargath and stuff like that, range can really just sit there and turret most of the time, honestly. So it's been a pretty, I think, fairly balanced mix of both, which is pretty cool. Honestly, I think they've actually did quite well at making fights favor, and having certain niches shine on a fight to fight basis instead of, say, like a tier to tier basis, like some encounters that we've seen in the past. So that's been a huge benefit.
And with those, I mean, do you see anything where you say, okay, yeah, in this fight, there's so much movement. Yeah, I can see hunters we're gonna be great on this fight, and we'll probably be, top. Whereas, this fight over here, kind of favors our weaknesses, if you will. And yeah, we would expect to be much lower. Or does it just look, no, we're gonna be down below on every single one that we hit?
Well, thankfully, I mean, I guess there's one thing to be thankful for, that we are really the only ranged damage dealer that can do our full rotation on the move, barred from 2 abilities. And that's pretty groovy. And you can really tell on fights like Hans and Franz, where you have to be moving like almost all of the time, you're going to outshine probably most of the range, unless they're like mega OP. Perhaps like an Affliction Warlock might sweep past you or something like that. But
Demo. We've got
or whatever the dot-based Warlock ownage class is right now. And yeah, like you'll notice on that fight for sure, because every range is moving and they're not having a good time with it. But on fights where you're going to stand still and fight off a ranged DPSer in your raid, they're probably going to get the upper hand if you guys are both playing well. But like I said, like there's that one fight. I mean, that comes vividly to mind. I mean, there's going to be a couple more like Orgorger and Brackenspore and stuff like that, where you're also going to notice it a little bit too. But overall, I'd say most of the fights you're not going to get the upper hand from being a hunter, as unfortunate as that is.
And we sort of talked about too, marksman, of course, coming up, and that still seems to be the case, right? I mean, you're looking at marksman, and more importantly, we're also looking at potentially lone wolf as the level 100 talent. And that's sort of going to be the build that we're looking at for rating this first tier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just going to play Marks with Lone Wolf. I think that seems to be the most ideal option right now, as things currently stand.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace, though. When was the last time we got to do this? Firelands. Firelands was the last time Marksman was competitive.
Oh, not so much the marksmanship, is that in order to do the best DPS, you have to get rid of your pet.
Oh yeah, no, I know that's gonna be a downer, especially for people that just went out and tamed Gera. They can't even use it if they want to raid
No.
competitively. It's like, well, I'll put it out for trash or something like that. So yeah, that is kind of a downside to how well Marksman's doing right now. But
They should give us a water elemental because we're basically a mage. I'll go
But-
back in my corner now.
No, you're fine. Just shrink away. But yeah, I sort of agree with Bendak. I'm not a big fan of Lone Wolf. I like playing with the pet. Like I said, Marksman, that's fine. You know, if that's going to be the spec I should take to raid, I'm okay with that. But yeah, I don't like the idea of not having the pet. I mean, that to me, that's sort of like should be more of a play style choice and not something that feels like it's mandatory now.
Yeah, I just want exotic munitions to be, a more competitive choice.
And like I said, I certainly thought that going into this, that focusing shot would be a nice choice for marksman that seemed to fit in. But as you say, it doesn't look to be the case now.
it might be. Let's go back to the drawing board on focusing shot, because I think for AoE situations or like pulling up burst or something like that, it has more benefit than I think people might have given it. Like as it stands, like in a rotation, it's pretty clunky. It doesn't work well with certain focus costs, but I think we can rework it maybe one more time.
My
And
issue
we'll
is
see
give me
if
a
we come
fight
back
right
to it.
now. Give me a fight, or give me a lot of fights right now where that's ever going to be a real scenario where there's constant cleave up. Like, give me a real fight right now that would actually be like a thing. You're not going to want to use focus shot for that one occasion where a couple ads spawn every like 30 seconds, and then it's a DPS loss.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I guess I'm thinking more of this tier where that would be like an ideal situation. But yeah,
And
for
I
the
agree
WAD
with that
tier,
because there's a lot of cleave. Like,
yeah,
Fallen Protector is what that would be.
Oh,
an
yeah.
ideal scenario.
absolutely. Yeah, I guess I should probably not think about this tier, but think about the expansion we're going into. So yeah, I think that might
Where
be
your
more
level 100 talents
yeah,
will be used.
where we're gonna be using this. Yeah, that's true though. So maybe next year we'll get a little more cleave going on, and we can revisit. But it's definitely a valid point.
Yeah,
And then
I
each-
actually had. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Delirium.
I was gonna say I actually posted about this yesterday, but I was Solar enjoying using focusing shot as MM to just get off a ton of multi shots, and then yesterday on one of the Skype channels, Div was mentioning, well, have you tried just doing a single target rotation with barrage and chim shot? And then yeah, it turned out you need at least 6 targets to make multi-shot do more damage than aim shot. And it's just whenever it does. I mean, it's just multi-shot, even with bombardment up. Say you can keep bombardment up for 100% of the fight.
6
You need
targets?
6 targets to make it worth
Woo!
using multi-shot.
Don't you know?
And I mean,
Don't you know how to play marksman? You need a bombardment weave properly, like Celeste Talon does.
Yeah,
God
man,
tier
that's
hunter.
rough. What a rough patch. When was the last time hunters were this like gimped?
When they
I don't know, at the beginning
started
of
Link
MOP,
Rush?
it was a little rough.
A little rough beginning of mop or post
The
the
beginning of
Link's
mop?
Rush Apocalypse?
Before
Yeah.
in beta, we were simming really low.
Oh, but we were
Things were
doing
rough.
very well.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
think-
been up and down, and the trend has sort of been towards down as we've gotten to the end here.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought we might have had a chance to redeem ourselves, but I even tweeted Celestalon and of course did not get a response. I was like, hey, do you think hunters are going to have any major or significant changes from now until launch? Or alternatively, could you answer how you're feeling about them going live right now? But we don't have an actual report on that, so I'll get back to you. Maybe next episode he'll have something to say.
Yeah, I think it's going to take. I think we're probably done until launch. And when does the rating start? I think the rating won't start really until early December.
Yeah.
So once they start getting some numbers from there, I think that's when you'll see changes, and you'll see where hunters lie. And hopefully, they'll have one of those patches that just gives us a bunch of buffs and maybe nerfs everybody else.
They're just gonna buff Lone Wolf because they don't have aspect anymore.
Yeah, or auto shot. One of the two.
Auto shots.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't know how they'll plan to do the tuning from here on out. If they'll, take a look at individual abilities like that, or if they'll just find one thing where they can just kind of crank up the knob a little bit, and maybe it'll be Lone Wolf. Although that doesn't help, and maybe Lone Wolf and adaptation if they want to buff up Beast Mastery and give the pet a little more boost there.
Yeah, of course, that
Really
just makes the other
funny.
talents even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, pick your poison. It's really funny though, like, because of the aspect of the hawk removal, they literally have to look at something and say, oh, we need to crank that ability up. Guys, what do we do? I think they're going to be confused.
Yeah, I think they already are. But did we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about what specs and talents we're going to use for 100?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that might. I mean, again, this might be subject to change, but since we're very close to a live Warlords, I think this is probably going to stay pretty close to what we're going to provide
and
you guys here.
And I don't think it changes much at level 90 either. So we're talking about on Tuesday 6.0, you'll probably just hop into that spec. And the only thing you won't have, of course, are the level 100 talents. But everything else, I think, would be about the same.
Mm.
But let's see. So where do you want to start? Want to start with the level 60 talents, I guess? That's a good place to start.
So BM is going to take Dire Beast, of course. Always been our strong contender. Scales with Mastery. Even though it got the focus cost reduced from 5 to 2, still a strong contender. For survival, what we've been simming, everything shows very close, but actually Dire Beast is on top for pure single target. I'm guessing that the MOE stands for margin of error.
Yeah.
They're all within the margin of error. Okay, so all three of the talents are all fairly close to each other. So do you think we could safely say that choosing the one you like in your level 60 talent tree for survival would be safe?
Yeah,
Just
so
don't
far
play
it's what
survival.
it's looking like.
Yeah, who's playing survival, but if you are and you want to pick your level 60 talent, you can almost grab any one you like and have it be relatively the same.
Please don't
And
play
then-
survival.
Yeah.
You will be below
Everyone,
five
let's have a
warriors.
boycott on survival and see what happens.
I'm not kidding. Like, it's like one thing to like survival, but literally, you don't have any multi-strike gear on the get-go, minus Harem Talisman. Congratulations, 200 points. Whoop-de-doo. And then everything else is like, I don't know. You depend way too much on scaling. I feel like for survival, and it's really bad. Just avoid it. It's just wait till 100, please. Thank you.
You know, it'd be so cool if, like, by the end of the tier, you go to, like, World of Logs or Warcraft Logs and, like, look at the parse rankings for survival, and if there were no hunters there, oh, that would be cool.
Mm.
That means nobody would have played survival. Pretty neat. We can do it. Boycott Survival 2014.
Yeah, there's always that one guy.
That one guy. We'll just, you're the weakest link. Goodbye. We'll, like, ban him from the island.
Yeah, come on. If there's nobody in the parses at all, then somebody's going to get on there just to have a number 1 ranking. There's no way to avoid
sure.
that.
So level 60, that's the focus regen tier. So that looks pretty good. Looks like they did a decent job of that. I mean, what about steady focus? Does that look reasonable for anybody, or that probably the odd one out on that tier?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. I kind of enjoy the having to manage the steady or whatever your focus shot is, steady shot or cobra shots. It's just kind of interesting, adds something to do, and reminds me of how marksmanship is on live right now, which I enjoy. So it's kind of neat. It doesn't give you a ton of focus right now, so it's hard for it to. It competes with Dire Beast's focus, but it doesn't provide the extra DPS that Dire Beast does. So It's not looking like a beginning of the expansion kind of tier. Once we get more focus, then it will in turn go up, or more focus regeneration. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You also discovered that it also increases your pet's focus regen, right?
Did we confirm that? I know we were wondering.
Yeah, it definitely
That's cool.
is. And it turns out I did a post about that recently, but it turns out other people on MMOC figured that out long before I did. So I guess that's been common knowledge in some hunter communities for a while now.
Whoops.
Well, now it's
Well,
common
we know.
knowledge for everybody.
Yeah.
There you go. But that's good to know. That's good. That makes it has some certainly more benefit and utility there, which is cool.
Yeah, I think especially for AoE for BM, that might come into play because that beast cleave will just be that much better if you can get off your smack or bite every 3 seconds instead of having to build up focus for it.
All right. So why don't we take a look at the level 75 talents? These are more DPS oriented. So what are we seeing here?
Who wants to do these?
I'll do them. Okay.
Oh, you do them. You do
Okay.
'em.
Okay. For BM, it looks like it's still blink strikes. There's just too much utility there. Like with the, for pet mobility and all the beast cleave damage. I mean, I just don't see why you'd want to take anything but blink strikes. Maybe murder or crows for single target. What do you guys think?
No, Blink Strikes is just too powerful, man. Just like you said, and then that, and the fact that it scales with all 3 of our secondary stats, Crit Haste Mastery, boom, big deal. It's a great talent.
And for survival and marksmanship, a Murder of Crows is looking pretty good, especially now that it doesn't cost so much focus and you can use it more often. And if the target dies while it's on, the cooldown resets. That's pretty cool. But Delirium was saying that Stampede technically sims higher, but that may be off, you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know why it's
There were
simming
some
so
weird
high,
things,
but
yeah.
it is, on all the sims I've done, it gets a little bit higher with Stampede, not significantly. But when I've been testing, a Murder of Crows is on top by a significant margin. And I don't know if there's a huge RNG factor in Stampede, or it's because especially when you play with Lone Wolf, the pets tend to just hang out beside you instead of attacking. And since you're in Lone Wolf, you have no way to direct them to attack.
Wait,
So
are
it's
you
kind of
saying
bugging a
hunters
little
are
bit.
having pet AI issues? Is that what I was hearing?
That doesn't happen. I don't know what game.
I
you
don't
play.
think that might be a first.
You heard it here, folks. First time ever, hunters have pet AI issues.
Oh no. So, and let's just make sure, I think I know the answer to this, but when you say, when you're comparing Stampede and a Murder of Crows, I guess you're doing a simulation over a certain period of time. In other words, so you're really comparing one Stampede to say 3 or 4 Murder of Crows versus like
Yeah.
one
Yeah, I
Murder
mean,
of Crows
even
to one
comparing-
Stampede. So
Compare, say we have a 6-minute fight, we're talking about
Right.
2 Stampedes or 5 Murder Crows. And so we're comparing that damage overall and the focus cost of those. So, Stampede being free is a pretty huge deal. So it's just a free shot that you can use while you're in your huge burst phase, with both your trinkets up and your pot going at the beginning of the fight. So it gets buffed a lot more. I think Murder of Crows has a lot more opportunity to be stacked during the fight. So if you have a burn phase, like Nazgrim is now, or the part where you need to do more damage or where the boss takes more damage, you can make sure to line that up. Whereas Stampede, that'll be a little bit harder with the 5-minute CD.
yeah, I just like the change they did for a Murder of Crows to me. And it just makes it more interesting now. The fact that you can reset the CD when the target dies, you can use it more frequently. I mean, it's always had a very good visual. I mean, the problem with Stampede is, especially in a raid, is you never see it happening. I mean, you press the button and you hear the sound, but you never really see those pets doing anything because there's so much going on underneath the boss with all the melee and everything else that you don't really get to enjoy it per se. You just hit the button and know that you're doing more DPS, and that's really it. So that's why I kind of like Murder of Crows.
I think we should have a hunter ability going away party Monday night and just use all the abilities we'll never see again. Like Link's Rush. I will miss that spell.
Oh my
Rip
gosh!
Link's
What if
Rush.
every hunter we could gather use Link's Rush at the same time?
Hashtag bring back Link's Rush.
That would be cool.
And we can spam Stampede one last time.
Yeah,
Fly out
exactly.
the server. 500 Stampede pets coming out at once. Orgrimmar
We'll
crashes.
Raid a shrine or something and just crash someone's shrine.
And then what about level 90? I don't know that we're seeing a whole lot of changes. Well, though they did change Barrage, so I guess we should talk about how Barrage and Glaive, because really for PvE, those are the only 2 options at that tier. I mean, Power Shot is pretty much purely a PvP ability due to the knockback. But how are Glaive Toss and Barrage comparing for the 3 specs?
Didn't we eke out that Glaive Toss was only like 0.5% DPS higher than roughly than Barrage was on single target? Was that the consensus? Delirium, do you remember that?
They're pretty close. I haven't looked at BM, but for SV and MM, they're pretty close. Some of the problem is Barrage gets in the way of your rotation a little bit more.
Yeah.
So especially as MM with Lone Wolf, which I keep bringing up, unfortunately, your aimed shots are just so powerful, and they cost a lot less focus than Barrage does. So the question isn't really, is Barrage better than Glaive Toss? Because it did get that huge damage buff, but it's really, is Barrage better than aimed shot? And it's kind of not quite. It's it could be a DPS increase if you're really good at managing your focus and pooling it and making sure you don't lose any chim shots. But chances are at 60 focus, you're going to, delay your chim shot for a second, or even part of a second is going to be a problem. So I'm getting Glaive Toss coming out a little bit better when you're using Lone Wolf. Just because it doesn't get in the way at all.
That's definitely for single target, right? I mean, Barrage for sure. AOE,
oh yeah, definitely.
Specs, yeah, okay, just make sure.
Just single target. Yeah, and even Power Shot in the Sims is coming out pretty high.
I saw that.
Because it has a longer CD, so it doesn't get in the way of your aim shots. And so basically, it's not saying Power Shot's good, it's saying using lots of aim shots is good.
And of course, the issue with Power Shot is it has the knockback. So, I mean, I don't think that affects bosses necessarily, but certainly ads and things like that. It's problematic there.
How crazy would that be if it did affect bosses? I would take Power Shot purely just to piss off the melee.
I still take it anyway.
Rogue's like, damn it.
Yep.
I still take it regardless. I don't know what Sims you guys are rating. It's a DPS game for me.
Do you just like it?
I like standing there and casting a long wind up. That's why I'm playing Marksman. I, for one, welcome my Arcane Mage spec.
Today on Hunty Party Podcast, Artemis tells jokes.
Mage Party Podcast.
Boo. Never listened to that.
Yeah, but I think everybody agrees Barrage for AoE.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think there's much question there. When I was testing SV and MM, I was getting something like 45% of my AoE damage was from Barrage at 5 targets, which is just crazy. And for something you use once every 20 seconds, it's a lot of AoE damage.
What about Barrage for Beast Mastery and single target? Because with Bestial Wrath, you're going to get every, third Barrage is going to be cheaper?
Yeah, and then with is it the 2-piece or 4-piece where you get more Bestial Wraths? I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah,
it was fun to do and try to time.
Did we decide if that was RPPM or static 20%?
I haven't gotten a response from anybody, and it seems to have changed throughout the builds. They didn't announce the change, but it's gotten a lot less common.
It was so common at the start. I remember I chained 3 Bestial Wraths back to back, and I was like, I'm in love! And then after I went back on the dummies, like maybe 2 weeks later, and it did not have the same results. So,
yeah,
and I couldn't figure out what procced it and what didn't. Like if it was on like a 20-second internal cooldown, or if it was on like an RPPM based thing, because that's what it seemed like. You get 3 back to back, and then you wouldn't see one for like a full minute,
Mm-hmm. But well, they did announce when they made them available for testing that those were not the final numbers in any way, shape, or form. So we had a feeling that one was going to go in the negative direction there, just because of the frequency that you were getting those Bestial Wrath. But that was fun though. But if we're gonna be marksmen anyway, I guess it doesn't matter a whole lot. But just to kind of wrap things up a little bit here. So looking at 6.0 versus 100. So how close are all 3 specs then? And that's for 6.0 when those folks that might still be doing some mythic rating or just want to go into SOO and get some of those last few heirloom items, etc.
Right, and this is come Tuesday, guys. So when Tuesday rolls around, these are how these specs are sitting right now. Oh. wants to do it.
Yeah, I haven't really done much testing at level 90. Even on the beta when I was playing, I didn't really look at the difference between specs. So somebody else will have to do this one.
Well, someone sort of put a note in here. It looks like MM and BM are close in 6.0. That's level 90 with SV just, trailing behind.
SV is behind tanks. Don't play survival.
Wait. You didn't see the latest build.
Survival.
SV is ahead of Prot Warriors now. It's fine.
It's
Oh, well,
still
there you go.
off by a fair
Just barely.
margin. Are we beating Holy Priest? That's a real question.
They didn't put Holy Priest on the chart. I didn't see him.
Probably because
They were
they
too
don't want to
high.
embarrass us.
Yeah. Yeah, it was disappointing. I think the only tank that wasn't beating us was Prot Paladin, so it's like, oh.
I-
So
I feel like, okay, for siege scenarios, marksman is not going to be favorable. There's a lot of movement in this tier that's going to evolve a lot of, like, pre-planned thinking of where you're going to be stepping and whatnot. But, I mean, with consistent moving, probably in a lot of your strats still, you're going to have to really, like, challenge yourself to make sure you get that mastery up.
yeah.
The other issue is there's a lot of cleave, and I don't think BM cleave is going to be weaker than marksman cleave. So it's going to be a toss-up, but survival, don't touch the spec. I'll find you.
Some of the issue with BM versus marksmanship for AoE is it looks like BM's definitely ahead. Beast Cleave is still kind of a monster, but the you can do MM with your full single target rotation, like doing your full single target damage to your focused target without sacrifice, while you're doing your AoE with barrage and chim shot. Whereas BM, you're really sacrificing a lot of single target damage to keep your cleave up all the time.
Absolutely.
And it's great for big packs of ads and stuff like that, but you're sacrificing a lot if your raid is trying to focus a target.
And that's a really good point, too.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of, like, single target fights where BM cleave will not trump marksman single target more than likely, so that's still something to keep in mind.
I'm going to be switching back and forth.
Like, those ads being up for a couple seconds isn't going to push BM over the edge and, fine line the differences. So, there's an example. Nourishing, perhaps. Other fights like Galacras, Fallen Protectors, you'll see BM trumping.
I was about to say, I'm going to do marks for Fallen Protectors just because I want to get the hang of being able to cleave as marks and stuff like that. And then, like, the Kim shot still hitting 2 of the 3 protectors and then being able to barrage every 20 seconds. I'm just going to try it. But I think if you guys... It may not be. I'll have my other hunter go BM.
Well, your other two... usually, like, one guy is out in Africa being kited anyways, right? So you have the other two
only when he goes into his little poopy phase where he drops
but that's still quite a bit,
We always try and keep him cleaved up because we all like to pad. But...
Yeah, we do too, though.
But yeah, what I was getting at was I'm gonna just hold on to 2 specs and then rotate them as necessary. So like big cleave fights like Galacras and shamans and stuff like that. Probably gonna roll with the marksman or BM rather, and then for single target stuff just practice marksman. But I'm gonna go marks for protectors too, just to try and see what like the minor cleave, not like full on AoE, but just like minor cleave looks like. So I recommend you guys try that too. Is just flip back and forth between your 2 preferred specs, and then see how they play and try and get the gist of it for the tier. So it'll be good practice. Really, is what it's going to be.
Garrosh will be interesting with Aspect of the Fox. I think it'll really help the encounter out quite a bit.
Oh yeah, huge deal.
We get that at 90, right? Like that's confirmed. It's not like something we get at 92.
Yes,
okay,
I forget the level that you actually get it at, but it's pre. In other words, if you were leveling up a hunter, you would get it before level 90 even. But I don't remember the exact level.
Cool. So work with your healers because, like I said, a lot of your fights will probably have movement involved in the strat, and Aspect of the Fox will definitely have an advantage in siege reclears. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. In fact, I don't. Other than the level 100 talents, I don't think we get any new abilities between 90 and 100.
Yeah, it's a bit boring.
No, yeah.
Just perks.
Just
the perks, which are cool.
They were cooler when you got one every level, and then they cut that, and then they did more cuts and stupid games.
Cool-ish.
Yeah, but when you guys log into raid night, remember the first thing you do when you get your aspect of the fox on your bar and bound and stuff like that is you talk to your healing lead and you say, "When do you want this?"
Yes.
Because it's you guys need, or I don't know why I said you guys, but we need to get in the habit of communicating with our healers for when they want aspect of the fox. Because like if you guys have like a healing officer or like a healing lead or just like a main healer who usually does like most of the healing work or organization, just be like, "Hey man or lady, when is this a good time for you?" I said lady.
All right. Well, why don't we do this? Normally, when we used to do the show, we would just end things and completely ignore the listeners and their questions. But why don't we go ahead and knock out some of the emails and the tweets and things we got this week? Because I think there's some good stuff here from folks. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Where do we start? There's a lot.
Yeah, let's start with who wants to start? Delirium, why don't you read this one from Rom?
All right. Rom says, "Hi, fellow dues payers." And then he's asking, as a BM hunter, I run with trinket AOC and TED, Ticking Evan Detonator, since I remember hearing somewhere that Harem's Talisman doesn't proc from kill command. Now I had the fortune of looting the heroic Warforged version of Harems this week. Did some simming on female dwarf with it. Hey, female dwarf, we can still use, that's exciting. Anyhow, What surprised me was that when I simmed with Harems instead of AOC, my DPS actually increased, which seemed counterintuitive. I was wondering if any of you had encountered this, or if this is simply due to the fact that Harems is heroic Warforged, whereas the other trinkets are only heroic.
Yeah. It is because it is only heroic. You always want to go for the higher item level trinket. I mean, not always for some weird scenarios, but I feel like you still want to go with AOC and then the heroic harms, especially for Tuesday. You're not going to want to use TED across the specs anymore, so get that heroic harms out anyways.
Wait, what was that?
You're not going to use TED. You're not going to use TED on patch.
Did they fix AOC?
They fixed AOC. AOC's been fixed for patches now. What?
Where have I been? Yeah, maybe I skimmed over that one. So it still has a good CDR on it.
Yeah, like.
Well, hey, what do you know?
Or whatever the heck it is.
Well.
Yeah, I didn't know that until today either. So.
Yeah, I don't know when they
can't blame me. Yeah,
they did.
You're welcome.
Cool.
But
Awesome.
Bendak, you were saying it even is working at level 100, right?
Yep, at level 100, I guess the heroic Warforged one gives you 10% CDR.
Which
No
is
way.
something.
Wait, 100%?
10%.
Oh, 10%. Okay. Whew. I was going to
Level
say,
100,
sweet.
This is Warlords. You take zeros out of things.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going back to the days where you have some low item level trinket that's just so awesome you use it for the entire expansion. What was that? I remember those Dark Moon Fair
Barrels.
cards. Yeah.
Barrels with rune that I never got at my barrel. Oh well.
So yeah, so AOC is, yes, you definitely want to hang on to that and continue to use that when 6.0 drops. It's been fixed. All right. Let's see. We have one from Garfurian on Twitter. He wants to know, which pruned ability would you like to get back and which ability should have been pruned but wasn't? So, I don't know. Anyone, Bendak, you want to start with this?
Which pruned ability? I don't know, maybe kill shot for survival. Was writing something there.
Yeah, for sure.
As for stuff that should have been pruned, nothing really stands out to me. I don't know. Anyone else have anything?
I think, honestly, traps, like, of all things, if you're not going to make it useful, why have it in the game at all? If that's how they're, sorry, I know, I love traps too, but that's how their, like, whole notion of the button pruning stance has been going, so it's still kind of a worthless ability, so why the heck is it still in the game?
I guess it was, the traps are just iconic, right?
Explosive
Yeah.
trap. Ice traps and everything.
But like Snake Trap is just, I don't know, man. I don't know what they wanted to do with Snake Trap. Didn't they shelve it to just survival too? But like the only time
It's
I ever use
glyphed.
Snake Trap
It's
is
glyphed now,
Glitch,
yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
still a thing is the thing.
it's like when I
it's
solo to keep aggro on something, so they hit my snakes instead of me. Like that's the only time I ever use Snake Trap.
Right?
But that's still cool. Especially when we first hit 90, I used it a lot when doing, going around looking for rares that were not hard, but Sometimes I needed to drop aggro and res my pet. And
Yeah,
Stink Trap's nice for that.
Yeah, and a survival too, just to get if you needed an additional stun for some reason, it had that aspect of it. But other than that, not very useful.
PvP, yeah, that sparks with it.
But I agree with Bendak. I think kill shot for survival would be something that didn't need to be pruned and would make sense to put that back. And who was it? Someone, I think Ali was writing in here about volley as an ability coming back. I mean, of course, that was gotten rid of a long time ago. But I always kind of liked that. I liked having an AoE ability that didn't require me to actually target something specific. So I think that would be cool. And I don't know, maybe Marksman would be a good spec to.
Well, that's what did I say that on last episode? I think I did.
We did have a brief discussion. I think you did mention that, actually, yes.
If you guys want to hear that, I don't think I need to say it again, but go back to last episode, and I have a really, really cool idea on how to bring back volley well, I think. But,
cool.
The devs obviously didn't take it, but it was still a pretty neat idea, and I kind of enjoyed the fact, like, of volley coming back. And, I mean, I guess to answer your question fully, if I wanted to bring back a pruned ability, it'd either be volley or scattershot. I still like scattershot for PvP just because I know I can set up my own trap instead of have to work off someone else's CC to set up the trap, like a poly trap or something like that. Like you poly the mage or something like that, and then you'd have to trap off of that. I'd rather do it myself. Cool. And then removing an ability, probably Eagle Eye. I don't remember the last time I really used Eagle Eye.
Oh my God.
Eagle Eye is awesome.
Spell.
I get it, like you can go all the way across the zone and look at something kind of neat, but I mean, like, I can't remember the last time I was like, gee, I sure wish I knew what Ashenvale looked like on the other side of the forest.
Not very just fly there.
Yeah, I'll just fly there. Yeah, exactly. But so I guess Eagle Eye, Scouter, Trap, and Volley.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree we'd all want Eyes of the Beast back at some point.
My God, they never reply to those tweets.
They said that the code for that ability was removed, actually just physically removed from the game, and so they'd have to redesign it in order to do it. And of course they can redesign it. I mean, but it's just not a priority for them.
You guys want to hear a cool story about Eyes of the Beast?
Sure.
So, I remember, like, back in my noob days when I was leveling up, I was like level 71 running Utgard Keep, whatever the lower one is. And someone died. I forget who it was, and we were all at the last boss, and we were all sitting there, and I'm like, the guy goes, I'm lost. I'm like, okay. So I go Eyes of the Beast, and I run my pet all the way down to his entrance, and I blew his mind. He had no idea how there was just one hunter pet sitting there walking around on its own accord, and I was giving him directions through the party chat. But yeah, it was definitely, that is probably my most iconic experience with Eyes of the Beast. It was just like totally blowing this guy's noodle that a hunter pet could be walking around and doing stuff. It was pretty awesome.
That is legit.
Very cool. All right. Oh, well, let's see. We have another one here. Spanky Hunter here. He wants to know, how are the glyphs? How are our glyphs looking in Warlords? Anyone? They're looking about the same, aren't they?
They're the same, but a lot of glyphs don't interact with each other anymore. For example, you can't use the double disengage glyph where you kind of jump backwards even further with Liberation anymore. You can't use the Spell Reflect deterrence with the double deterrence block glyph anymore. And then there were some couple others, but I don't really remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think I know Bendak, I think you've written about it. I've written about it too. It's out there. And of course, look at the in-game tooltips. They'll show you which glyphs you can and cannot use together anymore. But yeah, that's probably the biggest change this time around. And then there are like a few glyphs in there that, you'll never use, but they gave us anyway.
You'll be looking at the purely survival ones, things like Animal Bond and Liberation and Deterrence and stuff like that. Those are usually your strong contenders for right now.
There's some res pet glyph. I think it costs like almost all your focus, like 80 focus, but makes it an instant cast, and it's a major glyph.
In the
it's really good for soloing.
Yeah,
is it? Okay.
Good
Fair enough. Fair enough.
If anyone's interested, I don't know how many solos are out there, but yeah, so what you do is, like, if you know your pet's going to die, you start to pull up your focus and you just run as far away from the boss as you can, so that when your pet does die, he doesn't just turn around and melee you or is super close to meleeing you. And since you pulled up that focus, it's an insta-res on your pet, pop a feign death if you need it. But yeah, it's a great way to, it's actually made soloing some encounters possible just because you can get your pet up immediately every single time if you can preemptively pull your focus up.
There you go. I thought they didn't like soloing, but they're
Well,
this
maybe
one
yeah,
instance
there's
they
one,
give you this
yeah.
one bone. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad, and that's kind of cool. I actually like to see things like that have a very situational use, but are very powerful in those situations. And I think that's kind of a good design.
I'd say the best new glyph is Glyph of Play Dead, where
Yes.
your pet
Yes.
feigns death with you.
I can't
God,
even
that's so awesome. I love
Yeah.
it so much.
touch.
Sometimes I just feign death on cooldown just to watch my pet be awesome.
It's useful for raid encounters, like on the last man alive, you ever have to sit there and wait for your pet to die or something, or dismiss because you panic, feign death or something.
Yeah.
Well, now you both can feign death together.
I can't even tell you how many times I didn't dismiss my pet, and we were on Garrosh, and we are just like cleaning up a wipe, and it was taking so long to like kill my pet, and like maybe like the one last rogue in the corner that he would just cast a desecrate on me, and then I would die because the desecrate was on me, and I was just like,
It's pretty embarrassing. Yeah, you're just like,
Yeah.
please die faster, please die, and your raid
Yeah.
leader's like, you're wasting time.
Mm.
And they're
And
just
so
like,
this solves
sorry.
completely. But yeah, totally been there, totally been there. But I'm glad they have this.
Artemis, was that your rig impersonation?
No, it's just a generic impersonation. Oh my god, no.
Cool. All right, let's see. Ragnar from Twitter. He has a question about our tier 16 bonus and marksmanship, and he basically wants to know. He said he heard that we're losing the instant aimed shot in 6.0, and he says if this is true, is it worth keeping the tier 16 four-piece bonus for marksmanship? I have no idea. Oh, I know the instant aimed is, of course, going away, but I don't know what the impact is on the 4-piece bonus. Anybody?
They changed the bonus for 6.0. I think it does 15% more aim shot damage now.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, I thought they adjusted it. I know they adjusted like the 2-piece for eliminating the rapid fire benefit, since rapid fire was going to be marksmanship only. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they just redesigned them. But I mean, and thankfully we're only spending like what 4 or 5 weeks
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the tier. So it's like it's almost like an okay.
Just
That's I mean, thanks for adjusting it, but it's not going to be that big of a game changer. But
Yeah, just about a month.
Keep your tier.
All right. Let's see. Rec from Twitter. He wants to know why buffs like sniper training are not part of other specs. Better on stationary and not OP while moving. Sounds like a win-win.
Have you played an arcane mage before? Because you described that exact thing. Arcane mages are total garbage when they have to move, but if they get to stand still and just sit in their rune of power and build up those big stacks, they're big damage. Big damage.
Cool. And then let's see
Did
what
that
else.
answer that question fully? Does anyone else have anything to add to that? Sorry, I was just saying like that
Yeah.
totally reminded me of an arcane mage. And,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never liked the sniper training all that much to begin with, so I'd rather see it go away than be applied to other specs, even regardless of the ability to move. I mean, actually, sniper training. We've talked about this. It's not bad it needs a duration increase when you move.
Yeah, I'm still a strong proponent of upping the time that we get to move from one location to the other. Just because there's some mechanics that you just have to move from, and if you don't scumbag it and sit in there, you're going to lose your buff no matter how you cut it, and now you're losing up your mastery up time. Yeah. And it's just kind of a bummer. I'm not saying make it like 30 seconds. That's obviously ridiculous, but like bump it up to like 8 seconds. I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
Totally.
I agree.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to just explain how to do this. One last time. What you've got to do is when you have to stand and stuff, you got to say, oh, I'm lagging. You guys, I can't move. I'm lagging. And then they'll give you some extra heals, and you can keep your buff up.
Have you seen Kriparian's video?
Yes, I don't remember the title of it.
DPS?
Yes, scumbag DPS. Yes.
I crit errored or something. I'm lagging. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen Kriparian's, it's like how to scumbag DPS. Go YouTube it. It's a big joke, but a lot of people think it's serious. It's just so good. He has all these like excuses and reasons as to why you can maximize your damage. When he's like, one of the quotes is like, when your raid leader says stop DPS, what that really means is DPS. It's like, yes. But yeah, it's a funny video.
Cool. All right, Premac from Twitter. He has a question about the raid checklist add-on and wants to know any news on if it raid checklist will be updated for warlords. It would be so helpful to have all the new pets listed. Thanks. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, the raid checklist is just a simple add-on, and it checks all the people in your raid, looks at their talents and their specs, and figures out what buffs they bring, and looks at what buffs you can bring, and tells you what you have and don't have. And it's a very handy add-on, which I use.
That'll do that. I thought there was like a MMO champion tool called like raid composition or something. Is that what we were not referring to?
Yeah, this is just an in-game add-on. So once you're in your raid group, it does kind of a inventory and assessment of all the people in your raid, can look at their specs, and will tell you what buffs and debuffs you're missing, and tells you who can bring what and who, and so forth. So. And lists all the hunter pets and says, all right, this pet brings this buff, and it's very handy. It's very useful. It's very good to help hunters coordinate.
And even for pugs too, that seems like it'd be a big deal. Like you guys zone in, you're like, oh, let me just quick jaunts to the stables to get the haste, that we're missing or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep, I do that. I'll whisper to the hunter, hey, can you bring the wolf? Or hey, can you have this in you and coordinate those things? The answer to his question is, I looked, and there is a 6.0 version. I haven't looked at it or tried it on the beta to see, but it looks like it's still in active development. So I would expect there to be something for 6.0. Don't know if it'll be ready on Tuesday or not. And then the last question comes from, well, let's see, we have two more, but Spanky Hunter speaking of pets, wants to say no. How will the stable look to cover the buffs? Any new pets that are must-haves for buffs in Warlords?
It's pretty easy to cover. It's pretty easy to cover all the buffs now. Must-haves, I guess. You can get Bloodlust now without being BM, which is nice. Nether Rays do that.
That is cool.
Same with Combat Resurrection. Cranes and Moths do that without being BM. I don't know.
Don't forget, if you're Lone Wolf, you can pick the buff of your choosing. So if you're not playing DM, right? Is that still the drop-down menu?
Yes.
Yeah, easy peasy, right there.
But you can't do stuff like Heroism or Bloodlust.
Right.
Yep, you miss out on that.
If you're interested in the best soloing pet, I can tell you that. Get a Shell Spider. It's the 5% to stats, as well as having the Shell Shield as well. So it's a big, strong, nice tanky pet. And then also you can have backup Spirit Beasts in the stable, of course. I always love to have backup Spirit Beasts, just if you need to cycle heals on yourself. Always a tremendous asset to have. Always a big proponent of the Spirit Beasts. So.
Wait, can we cycle heals now?
No, you can't do that anymore.
No.
But okay, so hold on to one Spirit Beast if you're BM, just so you can have that heal for yourself. But yeah.
Speaking of buffs,
shared pet downs are gone.
Speaking of the buffs, they changed around a lot of them. Like some families, like for example, the Tall Strider doesn't do Sunder armor anymore because that's gone. So it does Mastery now. There's a bunch of other changes. If you go to WoW Insider and then just go to the Hunter category, the first post there, I have like a neat little table showing all the new buffs for all the pets and Warlords. So that's helpful.
Yeah, I would say two pets that you're definitely going to want to have in your stable too. One is the Gorilla. I think it brings the stats buff, but regardless of whatever it does, the name of the buff they bring is called Blessing of Kongs. So just for that reason alone, I think you need to have
That is cool.
a Gorilla. And same thing with a dog. And the dog brings actually the same buff as the Gorilla, but it's called Bark of the Wild is the name of their buff. So.
Oh my god.
That's awesome.
So we no longer need druids or paladins. So, we got it handled.
Face palming right now.
Yeah.
There's also the Rylak pets. They have a slow fall ability, which is pretty
they
neat.
do. They do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's kind of fun. I mean, an extra slow fall doesn't hurt.
No.
I mean, having the fact that we can bring all those little fun, unique buffs, like water walking, slow fall, among other things, so it's kind of nice to have.
The Core Hound actually has a Thorns ability called Molten
saw that.
Hide. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty sick. Well, didn't they test it? It's not really that strong because
No,
it
it's not a
requires
big
the pet
deal,
being.
but-
It's still
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah, it's still unique and kind of cool, but as far as like utility or actually providing any source of decent damage output, almost non-existent.
I really
Not-
like that pets have, outside of BM, now you can have pets with multiple perks to it, and BM still can retain its uniqueness by having like a third perk basically on some pets.
Yeah. I really liked how they beefed up the pet ability trees. It actually added a lot of extra options and more choices for your pets, so it's probably actually I'll give Blizzard a thumbs up on that one. They really beefed
Good
up.
job, Blizzard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sure did. All right. So
The-
let's.
Oops, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the sad return out of it though is we lost all of our CC on our pets basically. So that's the only negative side. And debuffs were gone now.
Yeah, disarm, sleeps, disorients. I mean, that's all gone with that PvP CC purge. They wanted less CC in PvP, so they wiped like everyone, disarms, disorients, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. What's next? What do we
So
have?
let's see. Jalopy, CTR on Twitter, he wanted to know what the favorite change being made to hunters is in Warlords. What do we think? Do we everyone have a favorite change? Want me to go around real quick?
That's a tough question. Can I go
Yeah.
last?
Sure.
Yay. Okay, cool.
For me, it's just in general, just the pets, like the new pets, the way they've made exotic pets. Actually, they're actually exotic now. You get like 2 buffs and a special ability. I don't know, just the pets, the actual state of the class. I don't agree with so much, but yeah.
I agree with you. That's my thing too. Just the variety of pets, the Gara quest that's coming, and I just like the pet skins. I mean, and unfortunately, it's only just a small part of the game. It's not going to be something to spend a lot of time doing, as a hunter. But I agree. That's probably my favorite change at this point.
Yeah, I hate to piggyback, but I think I'm gonna have to go with the same thing. I mean, I'm honestly shocked that they made the most beneficial changes they made weren't even to our core. It was to our our AI companion. But it's interesting. But yeah, I totally 100% agree with Bendak. The pets are very polished. I think as polished as they might ever be, and the class itself is a little rough around the edges, to say the least. But I think the Garrett quest line is really fun. If anyone wants a real challenge, I think Delirium said this in the last episode, is do it without any guidelines. Solve the original puzzle like the crew that did it on beta did. If you want a real challenge, if you guys like to solve puzzles and do all sorts of crazy stuff, then if you want to go guideless on Gara, that's a big deal. Huge props if you do that.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely, absolutely. That's a good point. Yeah. Stay away from the guides if you really want an adventure.
It's an adventure with guides, so it's a really cool story.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's in hats off to them. I mean, when we talk, I mentioned this before, one pet, for one spec of one class, it seems like a lot of effort went into that, and it's really good content. So you should plan on doing it.
Yeah, and if you're doing it right at the start of the expansion, it'll be fun too, because chances are there's going to be other hunters there with you doing the same stuff,
Cool. Any other thoughts, Delirium? Did you have any?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't want to say the same thing, so I'll go.
You can say the
Barrage
same.
is pretty
Whatever.
cool. I like the change to Barrage. It's interesting. It's some crazy AoE damage, and so it's. I was trying to think of an ability that like we're actually going to use, and there's not a lot, but I like that. I like the crows change. I always thought crows was a really cool talent. Just the visual and the idea of it. It's just, I don't know, just great. So I like that we get to use it more often. It's going to be a little bit more viable in some other situations. I guess that's it.
No,
Crows and
that's
Barrage, pretty cool.
cool. Well, why don't we do one more and then maybe wrap things up and call it a show here. And this one was directed at you, Solar. I think you might have answered it in the chat, but we'll ask it for everybody else. Again, this was from Ragnar, and he was asking if it was pointless then to have jewel crafting and enchanting, and this was sort of back to the discussion we had about everyone changing to leatherworking or talking about what professions we're going to have. And what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah. The start of the episode might clear things up a little bit, but like using leatherworking is going to give you the most bang for your buck trying to craft the epic pieces of gear through your garrison work orders, like Artemis was saying. And I mean, that's totally like a huge deal, especially for people that are in cutting edge raiding guilds. But that's why leatherworking, like those two professions aren't really going to give you the most boost. Like even I would say go and like drop one of those and go engineering, even if you want a little bit of an edge on that. If you want to go like buck wild, just drop both of them and pick up engineering and leatherworking. Or alchemy, if you want to do what I'm maybe going to do now, since Artemis just beat me with a stick on that. But
you liked it.
Maybe, we'll see. I'm not swayed just yet, but maybe.
Yeah. And the other thing about leatherworking too that's worth noting is they're getting a mount this time around, which seems weird.
Does anyone know what it is?
No.
Yeah,
it's a wolf.
Finally.
It's a wolf.
I don't know how out of leather you can stitch up a wolf. It sounds like an abomination from Frankenstein, but
yeah.
I'm excited.
So, and I think it's a leatherworking only mount. I think you have to have leatherworking and actually to use it. I don't know if it's one that they can sell like
you can,
like
or you can maybe sell it, but you need to be a leatherworker to use it or learn it.
Yep. But they're finally getting one, so very cool. All right. Well, I think on that note, guys, you have been listening to episode 202 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I am Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I am Artemishowl from the Warcraft Hunters Union, and you can find me at Artemishowl on Twitter.
I am Solarflair from the J.J. Abrams movies, and you can find me at _Solarflair on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com, WoW Insider, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
Okay, everyone, check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, add our RSS feed to your reader, and we'll have all these links available when we post our shows. And if you have a question or topic and you'd like to discuss on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a tweet at huntingpartypod. And as you can see, we will read it on the show this time.
Oh, that was me. Dang it!
It was you. That's
I thought I was going to make it through one whole episode without missing a cue, and well, that was what I was supposed to say, but Dark picked it up like a champ. All right, there. Whoops.
All right, on that note, hey, stay thirsty, my friends. Remember to drink your dark brew lager. Solar.
Is this one me?
I
thought
like
we scrapped this one.
Solar.
You don't have to do it. We liked it last week. This was your outro. We thought that was fun.
Okay.
Solar was the one drinking last night, not me.
This is just an abomination. There's like 3 question marks before it. 3 things are highlighted on here. I don't even know what's going on with the show notes. I'm Solarflair, the stylin', profilin', limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheelin' dealin' son of a gun. And there you have it.
Always heed the thrill of the wild.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
Don't forget to pay your dues.
For the Horde.
Life stealer. That's just
Our show, if nothing else, was known for screwing up the outro, especially. So this is good. People are used to this.
Traditions, yeah.
Yeah, this is a long-standing tradition, and we do it without trying. By the way, we don't sit there and think, how can we screw it up this time? It just happens naturally. So it's all good. It's all fun. So. All right, thanks everyone. I thought this was a good show, and hopefully we'll get this one out here soon.
Dragon Hawk. No time to waste, 'cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat. I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, 'cause I am hit capped. 'Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I don't top meters every fight. Let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Anubarak, Yogg-Saron, Therian, Sartharian, Nycthuladon, Sapuron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archivon,